Hello, everybody. It's Stu Smith and Jeff Nichols here with the Tactical Fitness Report, and we have a new series we just created. Literally 30 seconds ago, we just came up with this, and this is called Recruiter Problems.
Yep.
And this is Recruiter Problem number one. And
these are no particular order, but we just worth discussing because we started talking about the dumb questions, and then I was like, you know what? We get a lot of good questions, and this is a common question that's really worth talking about to give you guys some insight.
Yes. Yeah.
That's really what it is.
Yeah, this one was one of yours, Jeff. So take it, and this is pretty common. You're going to have this issue whenever you go to your recruiter. You know, how do you talk to your recruiter when you first get there and you want to go to Buds? So
yeah, there's going to be probably some wiggle room there, but to the best of my ethical guidance, this is what Stu and I can have come up with. So let me paint you the picture real quick. Collegiate swimmer, a lot of shoulder problems, which is why he stopped swimming. There's a real concern that, now I'm saying swimmer, it could be anything. Just think general terms here.
Shoulder, anything.
Anything, body, anything hurts. And you're like, I probably need surgery, ankle, hip, knees, whatever it may be. You really think you do, especially coming from a collegiate sport where your athletic trainers and doctors, like at Texas A&M, specifically this one, they probably are like, you probably have a torn labrum. You probably need surgery, right? So he asked, he's like, well, what do I do? Because you and Stu have always said, don't go see a recruiter until you can exceed the PST scores. And he's right. However, here is where that kind of depends thing comes in, is that as far as I understand, what you can do from a standpoint of going to see a recruiter is say, listen, I want to get in these programs, but under no pretenses am I going to commit to joining the military unless I can get a MEPS only physical, right? You're going to, if I can qualify for the programs physically, like the doctor at MEPS, the senior medical officer goes, yep, you're cleared for service. Then you go, I will join the military. But you can say, listen, if I don't get physically qualified at MEPS, I'm not joining the military. That or until there's been a waiver that's been guaranteed or issued or potential for it post-surgery or something. So that's hopefully you guys understand is when you ask questions about the medical side, you're going to have to see a recruiter and request a MEPS physical.
Right.
That's from what I understand.
Yeah. And the recruiter's going to ask you, hey, have you had any surgeries? Right. And those aren't things that you can just say, no, I haven't had any if you've had them.
Yeah.
That's not something you can lie about. And I don't recommend lying, but it's just one of those things that they're going to find out, because they're going to have your records there. So,
yeah. And so here's what we're asking of you guys. And this is, I want you guys to hear me very clearly. This is not an opinion-based conversation. If any of you guys, men and women, have encountered this issue and have gotten resolution in your favor or otherwise, could you please put it in our comments blocks to help educate others and ourselves?
Yeah, share it. Because, unfortunately, there are how many different recruiting stations around the United States? Hundreds. So Not all of them are going to be knowledgeable of the exact same standard of how things go. Now, eventually they're going to figure it out and find it, but they might take you down a long winding path of time and delays and just a bunch of BS, losing your records. Oh, by the way, anytime you're talking to a recruiter and you have a medical record, make a copy of your medical record, because I don't know why it is. Why it gets lost.
Yeah, I still have my medical record, or at least a photocopy of it. Yeah. So, and understand this too about the recruiters. This is not a knock on the recruiters, but with the position, the job that they're fulfilling, every 2 years or 18 months, they're probably going to cycle out. So like if the recruiter that you go see, he or she may have only been there for a week, a month, a year, or they're training someone to replace them. So that person may have not experienced taking somebody and training into a spec war billet, having to get a waiver. Now, like where Stu and I are at, in the Maryland, Virginia area, where there's a lot of guys vying for those spec war positions, there might be a little bit more experience. But like for me, being from Iowa, or what I went through MEPS in Alabama, I was the first person that recruit had ever tried to send a spec board billet. So it was kind of like, I had a really good recruiter. But if I knew where he was to this day, I'd love to thank him because he really was awesome for me. And
that's awesome.
Really nice to me. But I think a lot of that was because when I went into the recruiter, I had a piece of paper with typed out that said, this is what I want. If I don't get this, I'm going to see a different recruiter. And he was like, wow, man, you got it all thought out. And I was like, yes, because I'm not a child.
Right.
So empower yourself, guys, and excuse the jets flying over is kind of cool, I guess, but those are F-18s.
Sweet.
So in summary, go into a recruiter station and say, listen, I want to get into spec war, but before I commit, that's pretty loud.
I can hear you.
Okay, before I commit, I need to get a physical at MEPS to see if I can even qualify or if I'm going to need a waiver. And then you say, listen, if I can get a waiver or qualify for these programs, then you've got me.
Yes.
Like, that's the best advice I can offer. And if, like I said, if any of you have experienced this, please help educate Stu and I as well, and the other people listening. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, also, don't fall for this. Don't fall for the recruiter that says, don't worry about that. We got it under control. We're just going to sign you up to be a bosun mate, and then you can get the surgery in the Navy, and the Navy will pay for it.
Yeah, that's not how it works. So
don't fall for that. I mean, it may work that way.
These are the sort of things that we're going to cover.
Yeah.
So Stu and I are going to come with – we'll probably do 10 of these, and we'll keep them fairly short, but we want to help you guys the best we can. And honestly, we're trying to keep our opinion out of this in mind too. But if you've encountered this, keep your opinion out of it, because we know that there can be some trouble with like communication with some recruiters. But what we're trying to do is provide a solution for these folks. Okay. So help us provide a solution.
There you go. All right. And just as a disclaimer, us saying it may not be actually true.
True.
Right? I mean, the recruiter will say, yeah, we used to do it that way, but we changed it. And they may be right. We may be wrong. So
policy changes.
I just want to say that we are not the sole
We're not representatives of the Department of Defense.
We are not representatives, nor are we the knowledge source of recruiting policy.
So if you do that, you know, for some cities like in Virginia Beach, there's like 25 Navy recruiting stations here, probably across all of Hampton Roads. It's, you know, if you have that available to you, there's no reason why you can't get a second opinion as well.
Yeah.
Right? Because you just may catch somebody in a bad mood, or that just has an experience and that doesn't know. So be patient, go get advice, and we're going to try to do our best to give you guys guidance.
I like it. Recruiter problem number 1, complete.
2 to follow.
Yep.
Stay tuned.
Stand by for more.
Yep.
We'll see you.
Appreciate it, Stu.
Yep.